Hello and welcome to this episode 101 of VocTerGaming. I am your host, the excuse me. I am your host, the vocal terrorist Jesse Ellis, and today we have a Protoss vs Terran, starring first our blue Protoss. He is dCdC. And our red Terran, he is rianBoxer. So, why have I picked this for episode 101? The answer is because last night I set up far too late because I fell asleep about 7 and I woke up about 10. By the way, this is why there was no video yesterday, because I fell asleep. I'm sorry, real life got in the way. I've been having some problems lately and I'm struggling to stay awake a lot. But that's not important. What's important is that I'm here today. Yesterday, anyway, I woke up about 10 o'clock, I grabbed some food, and before I fell asleep, I watched some very, very exciting Protoss vs Terran. And so I wanted to watch another exciting Protoss vs Terran. As for why I bring you these, well, there's two reasons. The first is I wanted to do something recent, and this was the only recent PVT I had, like pre-IEM. The second reason is because of this young chap, rianBoxer. Not a player I know personally, not a player I know very well. In fact, rianBoxer is a Code B player. What Code B is when you're in the top, I believe it's Grandmaster or Masters or top 100 Masters. I'm not entirely sure the prerequisite for it, but essentially in the Korean ladder, that gives you the opportunity to enter Code B, which is a single elimination format tournament. If you win, I believe, 3 games in a row, best of 3s, 3 best of 3s, if you win that, you get into the Code A and you get on television. Code B is incredibly difficult to get through. rianBoxer, as far as I'm aware, has yet to debut in the GSL, but he's been in Code B. Unfortunately, the last time I remember this happening was in October. They don't broadcast the Code Bs. They did a couple of times, and then it stopped again. That was Wolf kind of in charge of doing that, as Rian here is scouting dCdC. If we just have a look at the vision, he knows everything that's going on. There's nothing particularly tricksy happening. We have a gateway. We don't have warp gate researching yet. It does not quite have the gas to do it. Only going 1 gas. Interesting. Is going to 1 gate nexus. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, the last time I remember rianBoxer entering the Code B was in October, the October preliminaries, and unfortunately he fell in the very first match. So we're going to see if he plays any better today. And as we see, rianBoxer is also fast expanding. Just off 1 racks, is getting 2 more racks behind it though, and double gas. So, oh, interesting. Going the 4 racks. This is there's a 4 rack strat I'm aware of, and I forget whose it is. It's in my notebook, which is on the desk. Excuse me while I leaf through this netbook. Come on. Drewby, that is it. It's the Drewby TVP 4 racks. There, I knew I'd get it in the end. I was thinking Grubby, but that made 0 sense because Grubby's Protoss. And here we see going up to 4 gate. That is not surprising. Generally, when a Protoss stays on 1 gas, that's what you get. You get 4 gate. Because it's pretty much all you can do. Now, it remains to be seen whether this is offensive or defensive 4 gate. Right now, there's no forward pylon, so that would suggest to me this is just a defensive 4 gate. Just going to hold off any kind of early aggression from Rian. Of course, he was denied scouting in the base, so he does not know what's in here as far as I'm aware. If I just get vision, yep. He has no idea right now that there's an expansion. He has no idea that there's 4 racks here. This isn't quite the Drewby build. Drewby gets 1 more tech lab, I believe. I believe he gets 3 tech labs and a reactor. That hasn't happened, but it's pretty close. It's quite a good build against Protoss. I really suggest, if you're struggling against Protoss as a Terran player, look up the Druby 4-axe build, the TVP build, and because you can just crush. It's generally very 2-basey, 3-basey. It's a really, really good opening. Anyway, it doesn't really go that deep in. It gives you many, many options. As we see here, rianBoxer is going for the factory. One of the things that Druby suggests is that you should have about 3 production facilities per base. I really like that. Something I wanted to talk about. I really like how that works out. So with 2 bases, you should have about 6 production facilities. So say 4 barracks, a factory, and a starport. If you want to go bio, which of course you do against Protoss. Mech really is better, except against Protoss. I'd say against Protoss, bio is still pretty strong, and it looks like Rian's going to go do some aggression. But there are a lot of sentries here, about half energy on each, so they can force field this ramp. It is a wide ramp though. What Rian is hoping to do here is kind of catch the Protoss unawares, maybe pick off a few pylons, a few probes, maybe even destroy this second Nexus. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do it. He sacrificed that 1 Marine rather than a scan, so much better. Marines are actually cheaper than scans because the scan can be a mule. And shut that down. He saw that there were too many sentries. There's an Immortal now just popped, in fact. So there was no way that was going up. Here the starport's nearly finished. We have a reactor going down on the factory, so it's going to be... I was going to say it's going to be reactor Hellions, but no, it's not. He's just going to put the starport on the reactor. That makes a lot more sense. Get medevacs, get Vikings out quickly if he sees Colossus. We have the robo facility. Note we have the double forge here from DC to get +1/+1. You see that out of Protoss so much lately. Both being contributions. Interestingly, Twilight Council going down as well. We have 2 more gateways being added. DC is a player I'm not familiar with. Yeah, DC, not a player at all I'm familiar with. Nearly got him confused with SC, who also does the SCSC thing. That's because in Starcraft 2 you need at least 3 characters in your username. You can't have 1 or 2 character usernames, so you get quite a few people just pick a 2-letter username and repeat it like so. Now again, Rian's going to push out, and I'm not too sure about the timing on this. Concussive Shell was already finished quite a while ago. We have 2 medevacs coming, unless he wants to time it with the first 2 medevacs. Oh no, sorry. Ah, yes, that makes a lot more sense. The first 2 medevacs are out. I didn't see them. That explains a lot. Okay, the timing on this is great. This is when you want to push out. You either poke the front like so, or you can drop into the back of the main base. Now we see +1 and +1 coming for Rian as well. Unfortunately for him, DC's +1 on both is just finished, so he cannot really force his way to the front of the base. And I don't agree with that at all. It's nice to pick off that pylon, but essentially it warned DC that this drop was coming. And so he's able to keep these Stalkers now in that main base. He's going to make sure he doesn't get picked off at the back. We have 2 more pylons going down, going to stop himself from being supply blocked. We have Blink on the way from the Twilight Council. It's going to make the Stalkers even more effective. Now going for a 4 medevac drop, but they're going to come too close again. Oh no! Oh, Rian loses 1 medevac. Full of units, loses the second. This is so bad. Wanted to elevate her up, but it hasn't worked out as well for him. DC is warping more and more units in. Unfortunately for him, he ran units around the side when he should have ran them into the main. So in fact, DC not reacting properly to that, and is going to lose a few probes. What Rian needs to do is kill as many probes as he can and then get the hell out of there. He needs to leave now. He needs to save these units. He can pick off more, but eventually DC's going to take it down. And now he's trapped. Now he needs to get the hell out of there. Okay, I'd have liked him to have left slightly earlier, saved more units, but he did save 2 medevacs. But here we see, look at this. Now I like this, Rian expanding behind it, knowing he's probably not about to be attacked because DC's defending. But DC, very cleverly, knowing that, is throwing down a Nexus of his own. Figuring that after an attack like that, Rian's likely to expand, and so you can safely expand as well. That's very nice. Okay, we have +2 and +2 coming for DC. +2 weapons coming for Rian. He cannot quite afford +2 armor yet. Charge also on the way for DC. And now he's going to push out with this. A few sentries, 2 immortals, a handful of stalkers, but mostly zealots. When charge finishes, that's going to be quite a dangerous composition. I'd like to see a few more stalkers, but a drop going on here, being absolutely shut down. Sorry, Rian. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on DC. And here comes DC now, taking down this third base, going to stop the mining of it. Using the sentries up here to force field the army of Rian into the expansion while he takes down this third, losing so many SCVs and mules there. Look at that, 10 workers killed. Perfect retaliation there from DC. Levels the playing field. If we just get a look at the unit count now, we see 51 probes to 44 SCVs. That's about equal because of mules. And now Mobius reactor. So are we having Ravens on the way? There must be a second starport somewhere. If he's getting Mobius reactor. Oh no, of course. Sorry, that's the starting energy of Ghosts, not Ravens. Jesus, it's been so long since I've seen Ghost play in a replay of my own. I forgot that Mobius Reactor was for Ghosts. Of course we have the Ghost Academy on the way, because that's how you beat Protoss. You get Ghosts, you get Mobius Reactor, and then you just EMP the shit out of them. Observer here seeing that Rian is moving out again. Rian with the slight supply lead. Very slight though. And a few of that is entirely army, because of course don't forget that DC has these probes, so that is entirely army. But a Dark Shrine on the way from DC, along with Colossi, Thermal Lance, and +3/+3. Right now just +1/+1 for Rian, about to get +2 weapons, but +2 armor still quite a way off. Right now DC is looking very strong. He's got 3 3 pretty good bases. This could do with a few more probes in it, but that's absolutely fine. +3 weapons now on the way for Rian, but that is going to be well behind DC's upgrades. He's pushing out again. He's got some medevacs with him. Question is whether he tries to push into this second base, which is right now undefended, really. Warping in more units, but of course that could leave him sandwiched now. No, he does push for the third. Where the units are at, trying to force a head-on engagement. Perhaps the best idea, but Charge Lot's coming in really nicely. Ghost there, trying to get EMPs off. Do not manage to do so. They get one decent one. Not even one decent one, really, as the sentries mostly use their energy for force field, and Rian is forced to retreat. DC again comes off the better of that. DC now with the supply lead. So in fact he's looking very strong. Of course Rian has seen the Colossi, so he's getting now double Viking, bringing out more and more bio. Now the thing about bio is, the later into the game you get, the less and less effective bio is. Bio's really good in the first 20 to 25 minutes, but after that you're going to really start to struggle, as the Protoss can just so out-tech you. Gravitic boost, is that the speed boost for Warp Prism? Interesting. Here we have Dark Templar now, absolutely brilliant. I was about to say I don't know how good that's going to be though, because it means of course he scans, it wastes a scan, excellent, but he also got the Observer, which he didn't want to happen. I'd have flown the Observer away first, but never mind. DC meanwhile is expanding down to this bottom location, essentially taking that first kind of quarter of the map that will be entirely his, and now upgrading Protoss shields as well. Decent thing to do when you've run out of things to spend money on. Gravitic boosters, I'm sure that's the Warp Prism upgrade. Does that mean we're going to get Warp Prisms? Nope, that's Gravitic drive increases. So I wonder what that does. We will find out when this Warp Prism is born. First a Colossus, but soon a Warp Prism is going to pop out, and we will find out exactly what Gravitic Boosters does, because I honestly do not know. In fact, chrono boosting the Warp Prism out, that's interesting. Generally you see that with High Templar, and in fact the Templar Archive's on the way. Second starport just finishes being made for Rian. Rian is also expanding to his 4th location, but again behind DC. +3 weapons is finished. Okay, there we go. Sonic Storm. So this is why we're getting warp prisms out. Let me just find out what gravitic drive does. I have no idea. It does not appear here. Okay, task for you. If anyone knows what the hell gravitic drive does, please post in the comments. And we have +1 ship weapons now. It's going to make the Vikings more effective against the Colossi. Now the reason he's getting the warp prism, I'd imagine, is generally when you go High Templar, it's really good. What you do is you pick up the High Templar in the warp prism, so they cannot be EMP'd. You drop them out, they cast Storm or feedback, and then they get back into the warp prism. So long as you can keep the warp prism alive, it's a really good tactic to counter late game ghosts. Now, of course, a few Archons morphing. Archons also very good against Bio. Anything you can do that increases splash damage is going to be really good. Rian now expanding ahead of DC. It's pretty much what you do when you get to 200 food. Right now, though, there is plenty of time for him. We have almost no mining mineral-wise left at this base. Almost none left here. But right now we have full here and full here. So we can keep this level of economy up for quite a while. Meanwhile, we see much the same for DC. Of course, DC slightly ahead with his expansions, which means he has a lot more money. Look at that bag. And now we're going to see another engagement, perhaps. Rian has moved out into DC's half of the map. And now comes gravitic drive that I thought was already done. I am thoroughly confused. I don't know what's going on. Oh yeah, gravitic drive. So what was I looking at before? I have no idea now. Okay, Ghost trying to get some EMPs off. They do manage to knock the shields off. Storm's going down. Rian is forced into a retreat for now. This is not looking good for him, but those Vikings killing all the Colossi. Now what he should do is land these and use them in the fight. Rian, in fact, breaking right through there, dropping mana mules. Oh, I'm not sure that was the right idea, because scans could have been so much better. It was a nice little ceremony. He thinks he's got the game won, but I'm not too sure about that. Getting personal cloaking now for the Ghosts, along with Terran building armor. He takes down the third of DC. He's trapped on the ramp right now. Does scan, killing all those Dark Templar. Wow, what a good engagement for Rian. Rian really got the best of that. Finally microing. But I'd rather he microed early. If he'd used those scans instead of mules, he could have killed those Dark Templar so much quicker, and he'd still have some left to kill these. So while I like the idea of the ceremony, maybe not the best idea to do it right then. He's going to kill a few of these Stalkers, though. They blink away. But DC's expanded up here. This game isn't over yet. We have a second robo facility going down and another gateway. So he's going to get double Colossi out now. He can definitely afford it. He still right now has the income. These probes should definitely either transfer up to here or of course back here. Yep, the Nexus is going up back here. So again, we're going to be equal on bases. For the first time, Rian's economy should actually be ahead of DC's. We have Protoss Shields level 3 on the way. Not that that does much against EMP, but it does help with those units that aren't being EMP'd. So we will see. Rian thought that game was over, but it was not. Very interesting. Perhaps some overconfidence there. I don't like to see that really from players. It's a nice little ceremony, and it's nice to see people do it when they've won. But when you haven't won, when all you've done is defeat one army, really not the best time to do it, especially when your opponent has Dark Templar and you need those scans. Okay, DC's Nexus here is finished, transferring probes up to there. This Nexus also about to finish. If we just take a look at the unit counting station, we see still has 72 probes, so that economy is going to get right back up there. He has one more prism, 12 High Templar, 3 Dark Templar, 2 Colossi. I'd like to see a few more spawn. I'm sure some are in production. Okay, not quite. He's mostly making Archons at the moment to try and help with that splash damage. That also makes sense, but I'd like to see... Oh, interesting, going for 2 Immortals rather than 2 Colossi. I suppose still worried about this huge Viking count. Archons, of course, better against Vikings than Colossi because Archons can shoot up, whereas Colossi can only shoot down. And so we see Rian now taking the last of his bases, where we have a warp prism here, ready to warp stuff in. Did I miss that? Okay, yeah, looks like he killed a couple more workers there as I hit the wrong buttons. And now Rian once again engaging head on. Again, these Vikings are going to be good. They're going to take down the Colossi so quickly. Look at them die. But now what do? They need to land and attack. He's going to lose so many of them to these Archons. High Templar, what are you doing? High Templar just suiciding into the bio rather than moving back to form Archons. But again, more and more Zealots coming in, and Rian just doesn't have the troops. He does not have the units. In fact, he's been forced back right now. His supply is higher, but not that much higher. And again, DC holds. This is absolutely incredible. There are five Vikings up here doing absolutely nothing because there's no Colossi left for them to kill. And that's the problem when you overmake Vikings. DC with a really nice switch into Archons rather than Colossi. Getting high. Rian now is just upgrading for the sake of it. Does he even have any planetaries? No, that must just be... Again though, that's for... Even if that helps the turrets. There's no air units here. DC's not going... A complete waste of an upgrade. Not good play there for Rian. Even though you've got a ton of bank, you want to save that because you may need it in the future. This base gets taken down for a second. It does survive though. Rian reinforcing very, very quickly with his bio units. Does force DC to pull back. It's the first real attack we've seen from DC all game though. The first time he's really tried to go in and do damage, playing very, very passively, or rather very defensively. Mostly he's just been trying to hold back Rian's bio. Rian playing decently, not playing incredibly. He's not even at Code A level, but is playing well. Is playing definitely Korean Masters level. You can see why he got here. And now he's moving up to this fifth base rather. Can take that down so quickly with Sim. We see Archons again trying to get into the fray. Units stimming. Protoss units coming in from both sides. Zealots chasing now. Charge is useful. Though Rian again with a good starter step. But again now, Rian's fallen behind in supply. Probably about equal on units, because again, I think DC has more probes. And a huge engagement here. Neither man retreating, and Rian taking a while to get into the micro, into the starter stepping. DC is reinforcing all the time with Immortals. Rian lands his Vikings finally. They will get killed, but it's a few extra seconds. But Rian is being destroyed here. He's going to run out of units. And DC's going to be able to reinforce. They pick off the medevacs. And now DC has the run of the bases, essentially. It looks like he's going to go right into here. Taking down these supply depots so quickly. Going to get right in and start taking down SCVs and bases. Rian is in trouble here. We could see GG any moment now, in fact. He's trying to rebuild his army, but there's not enough time. He's going to lose his mining bases, and if he does that, there's just no way he can continue to rebuild. DC, meanwhile, at double, nearly, the supply of Rian. Yes, double the supply of Rian. And now DC going to take down production facilities as well. And now stopping the mining here. Units here, forcing the bio back. So he can continue to take down this base. He's going to reinforce that attack with Immortals. DC has won this game, ladies and gentlemen. DC turns it around at the last second. We're going to see GG from Rian. Rian is just trying to hold on, but it's not going to happen, I'm afraid. DC's army here is just too strong against anything that Rian can produce. And this is what I was talking about. If you cannot force a win with bio for about 20-25 minutes, you're really going to struggle against the splash heavy late game compositions of Protoss. Here we see medevacs full of units now. This is a last ditch attempt to perhaps force a base race. It's not going to be enough. I can say that right now. Here they land. Going to try and pick up what he can. But it's just not going to be enough. DC can continue to produce at home. He can warp into the base down here or the base here and reinforce. Or in fact he can just send a bunch of Stalkers and Immortal home. Once these units die, I believe that's going to be the end of it. I believe Rian will GG. This bunch of Archons, Zealots and Immortals are pretty much just sitting in the middle of the map, making sure nothing more comes out for Rian. And here DC is going to finally crush these units. There's just no way they can survive any longer. The medevacs are empty. They are not escaping with any units. GG must come any second now from Rian. He really is trying to hold on, but it's just not going to happen, I'm afraid. Floating buildings away to where they do not need to be. Game over, Rian. Time to GG. What good play from DC, though. There's just no way. Rian can't come back. He has one mining base at the moment. That's it. And it's not going to be enough. As you can see, the difference there in supply, the difference in gas, and the difference in minerals is huge. Building 10 Marines at a time, whereas DC can just rebuild every single structure he lost in that attack, and then go and completely finish crushing Rian. Again, Rian's building these forces, but they're just going to get shut down. DC can reinforce his own units more than Rian can, and that's it. That's game over. I applaud Rian for sticking in there and trying, but there are times when the game is just finished, and you need to get the hell out. You need to admit that to yourself and to your opponent with a double G. Sorry, game over. I have nothing more to say. That's it. I can't say anything else. I can tell you what's happening, but you can see as well as I can that this game is over. There we go. GG from rianBoxer. DC takes that game. There we go. Rian. Still just code B material, I'm afraid. Showed some good play in there, some nice strategies, but in the end, this is the reason he's struggling to get to code A. Is he just doesn't have the late game strategies. He's not able to push through everything he's doing. Time and time again, DC held him off, and Rian had nothing new to try, and that was it. That's what it comes down to. So, ladies and gentlemen, that ends episode 101 of VocTerGaming. I'll be back tomorrow with episode 102, something I believe to be a Protoss vs Protoss. I cannot actually remember. My memory is awful. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you know what Gravitic Boost or whatever that upgrade was, by the way, please tell me in the comments. I know I could Google it, but I'm really, really lazy. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.